This is Nightline and I'm Liyana Hassanel. The headlines. Selangor Sultan urges non-Muslim to respect boundaries in matters related to Islamic affairs. And police confirm the use of SOSMA Act against drug kingpins. Good morning. The government has rebuffed the suggestion for the government to appoint non-Muslim legal experts into the special committee to study issues related to the competencies of the State Legislative Assembly in enacting Islamic laws. Describing the proposal as baseless, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs, Datuk Muhammad Naim Mokhtar, said all appointed members possess specialized knowledge in the Federal Constitution, civil law and Sharia law, qualifying them to conduct thorough studies, offer valuable insights and provide constructive input. He said the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs would always refer matters related to Islamic affairs to the Malaysian National Council for Islamic Religious Affairs, MKI, chaired by the Sultan of Selangor, Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah, and also to the state Islamic authorities. Therefore, he said all parties are urged not to make any statements that could cause public concern, besides having full confidence and to give space to the special committee to carry out its role professionally and effectively. He added that the findings and proposals of the committee would also be brought to the Conference of Rulers and the MKI. He said the special committee convened its first meeting on December 5th. The committee was headed by former Chief Justice Tun Zaki Tun Azmi and comprises experts including former federal court judges, representatives from the Attorney General Chambers, legal practitioners, representatives from the State Religious Department and academics. Meanwhile, Selangor Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah has reminded non-Muslims to respect and refrain from interfering in matters relating to Islamic affairs. In a post on the Selangor Royal Office's Facebook page on Friday, the ruler said that instead, non-Muslims should emulate Muslims who do not interfere in the religious affairs of other faiths in the country. Sultan Sharafuddin, who is also the National Islamic Council Chairman, MKI, was responding to a proposal by Beruas MP Ngeh Kuham to include non-Muslim constitutional experts in a committee studying the conflicts between Sharia laws and the federal constitution. He added that the committee had already included experts who were knowledgeable in various fields, specifically involving law and Islam. In other news, DAP has stressed that it has no intention of meddling in Islamic affairs, especially in the enactment of Sharia laws. DAP Secretary General Anthony Loke said its Beruas Member of Parliament, Datuk Ngeh Kuham, was mistaken when he had proposed that non-Muslims be included in the special committee, as he had misunderstood about the authority behind the establishment of the committee. Loke explained that the committee was established by the National Council for Islamic Religious Affairs, which is chaired by the Sultan of Selangor, with the aim of advising the council with proposals to strengthen the responsibilities of the Sharia court. He also said although the committee reports directly to the council, any of its recommendations which involve amendments to the law must be brought to the cabinet. Loke said he is aware that Ngeh's statement may stir controversy by suggesting DAP is trying to interfere in Islamic affairs, which is not true at all. He added that the DAP respects the wisdom of the Sultan of Selangor in making any decision regarding Islamic affairs. He also said non-Muslims need not be concerned about the composition of the committee, as any legal amendment involving the rights of non-Muslims must be scrutinized and decided by the cabinet before following the usual parliamentary process. The police will prioritize targeting the Mastermind Syndicate to combat drug trafficking activities, taking action under the Security Offences Special Measures Act 2012 SOSMA and Section 130V of the Penal Code. Deputy Inspector General of Police Datuk Sri Ayub Khan Maidin Piche highlighted distinctions in the day-long operation aimed at arresting masterminds in Sabah compared to previous operations.
Akan mensasarkan kepada ketua syndicate sekarang ni bagi memastikan isu pengedaran penyelundupan dadah ni kita dapat atasi. Kalau tidak, mungkin kita memakan masa yang lama untuk mengatasi isu ini. Itu fokus kita sekarang pada syndicate, ketua syndicate.
He pointed out that while past operations focused on seizing tons of valuable goods, this time the operation would be conducted under organised criminal offences and SOSMA, targeting all members, senior individuals and masterminds associated with the syndicate. He said this in a press conference after the handing over ceremony to Bukit Aman Crime Prevention and Community Safety Department Director at the Police Training Centre on Friday. In the raid on Monday, Bukit Aman's Narcotics Criminal Investigation Department, in collaboration with the Eastern Sabah Security Command, ESCOM, busted one of Sabah's largest Shabu-type drug trafficking syndicate, suspected to have been operating since 2015. The raid was carried out around Kota Kinabalu, Tawau and Semporna and managed to arrest 10 men, including the main mastermind of the syndicate, who is also the patron of a 40-year-old NGO. Meanwhile, IOP said police have identified more than 10 undocumented migrant settlements across the country and plan to conduct more operations in due time. The Deputy Inspector General of Police said the operations would not only focus on the Klang Valley, but will also be extended to other states, including Johor, Kedah, Kelantan and Sabah.
Kita dah kena pasti target-targetnya. Nanti saya kongsi dengan media pada saat-saat terakhir baru saya kongsikan.
He said even as authorities would sometimes face constraints in terms of placement at immigration detention depots, they will continue to plan operations meticulously to curb illegal immigrants. Last Thursday, a total of 1,101 foreign nationals were detained for various immigration offences under an integrated operation involving several enforcement agencies around Jalan Silang. The operation was aimed at curbing criminal activities around the area and the Kota Raya complex, especially those involving foreign nationals.
Hipokrasi terus dimanifestasi. Transisi, revolusi, integriti. Episod tragis dan emosi memacu matlamat mengukir legasi. Imbasan 2023, Sabtu 30 Disember hanya di TV3. Dan stream HD secara langsung ditonton.
2023 has been a challenging period for the Malaysian stock market, with the FBM KLCI down 2.5% after experiencing significant volatility. It was mainly due to a rapid rise in interest rates in the United States, resulting in significant selling pressure with a massive outflow of funds reaching 4.2 billion ringgit. The FBM KLCI index was dragged to a yearly low in early June. However, the situation improved beginning last July when foreign investors' interest returned and entered into the local market. The FBM KLCI tested the 1,465-point level several times, supported by purchases from foreign funds and institutions. The benchmark index remains in the range of 1,415 to 1,467 points so far.
Bagi tahun 2024, kami yakin pasaran saham tempatan akan bertambah baik dengan jangkaan pemotongan kadar di Amerika Syarikat dan pengaliran dana ke rantau Asia Pasifik.
The same uncertainty is also impacting the value of the ringgit this year. The value of the ringgit dropped 6% against the greenback in the first half of the year. However, the local currency strengthened starting July and was up 1.3%. The Health Ministry has reassured the public that the COVID-19 situation in Malaysia is under control, with due attention to its mortality rate. Its Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad underscored that the majority of COVID-19 cases in Malaysia exhibit mild symptoms, eliminating the necessity for hospitalization. Dr. Zulkifli said the COVID-19 situation does not pose an immediate public health threat, as the virus will continue to be present among the population, just like any other respiratory viruses, such as influenza. He added for Epidemiology Week 51 between December 17th to 23rd, the hospital admission rate for individuals with COVID-19 is at 0.5%, and the mortality rate is 0.08%. He further conveyed that no new variants have been detected in Malaysia, with only the Omicron variant and its sub-variants. He said the Health Ministry will continue to monitor the COVID-19 situation and its related variants from time to time. He also advised vulnerable groups, including the elderly, individuals with chronic conditions, and those with compromised immune systems, to wear face masks in crowded settings or when using public transportation. The number of flood victims in 4 states dropped further to 16,919 people housed in 70 relief centers on Friday night. This is compared to 20,036 people at 82 relief centers earlier in the day. According to the latest report issued by the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, as of 8 p.m. in Pahang, the number of evacuees taking shelter in 6 relief centers in Bera, Maran and Temerloh has decreased to 120 people from 214 in the late afternoon. Some 87 people from 17 families are still housed at one relief center that opened following a landslide incident in Cameron Highlands. The number of flood victims in Kelantan also continued to decline to 15,882 people at 42 relief centers in Jeli, Kuala Krai, Pasir Mas and Tumpat, compared to 17,950 people earlier. In Terengganu, the number of victims in Dungun, Kuala Terengganu and Marang dropped to 862 people, currently placed at 20 relief centers. In Johor, the number of evacuees remained unchanged at 55 people in 2 relief centers in Segamat. Meanwhile, several rivers are at the danger level, namely Sungai Kelantan in Kota Baru, Jeli and Guamusang, as well as Sungai Golok in Tanah Merah and Pasir Mas in Kelantan, Sungai Perak in Hulu Perak, Perak, Sungai Arau in Arau, Perlis, and Sungai Dungun in Dungun, Terengganu. Malaysia has a comprehensive public transport system, but first and last mile issues still plague commuters. But a solution in the form of transit vans might be on its way. Natasha Bust and Tan Chin Tung take a closer look at the feasibility of this plan.
Ever ditch the idea of taking the train because you found out the closest station is a solid 10-minute drive away? Well, you're not alone. Despite the availability of KTM, LRT, MRT and monorail services, many in the Klang Valley prefer to drive instead of taking public transportation. The reason? The lack of first and last mile connections to rail lines.
The reality is, once commuters find themselves not being able to access the first point of service, such as the feeder buses, they will most likely decide to drive.
But a solution might be on the horizon in the form of the Transport Ministry's on-demand transit van service idea. The service, which will be introduced in the Klang Valley, could help resolve the first and last mile dilemma for many people.
Having this kind of service will definitely encourage people to use public transportation and leave their cars behind, potentially relieving traffic congestion.
Some members of the public are already on board with the idea.
I think it would be fantastic, absolutely fantastic. It is very convenient for people like us, to go to work and then come to the destination.
So my way is to drive myself to and park at the LRT station. If we want to wait for the bus, then we take some time. More easier to reach a LRT station.
I think it's quite great for government provide the van service, especially for the elderly.
But Wan Agil says efforts to resolve the first and last mile issue should not stop there.
We don't have enough pedestrian walkways. We are still struggling to understand the need for micromobility and the infrastructure needed to accommodate that.
To ensure its long-term success, transport expert Rosli Khan says the van service must be cheap, reliable and safe.
The van services also have to be frequent and provide almost door-to-door services with minimal walking distance for users.
He also suggests using school vans to offer these on-demand transit services.
Unless the Transport Ministry allows the school van operators to use the same vehicle to serve the general public for the first and last mile operation, the fleet will remain underutilized.
Natasha Bust and Tan Chin Tung, FMT for Nightline.
Russia unleashes biggest air attack on Ukraine. News from the foreign front when we return.
Kepingan daging empuk dihiasi bawang segar, bertambah nikmat dengan sos lada hitam kegemaran ramai. Prosperity Burger kembali.
어떻게 됐어? 네가 지금 루테인이 아닌 것 같은데.
Seronoknya layan obat sampai pagi.
보고? 개판이네! 힘은 가속도와 질량이 비례한다.
조문 왔던 걔네들 왔다 가고 그랬잖아.
Mak turun aplikasi tonton, semua favourite anda ada di sini.
Kakak, kenapa muka macam tu nampak sedih lah?
No, bukan sedih. I'm just curious, to find out how is it like, for you and your husband to have to share your marriage and have it be on blast on social media?
Oh, itu. Whenever people meet me in real life, Mariam, you're so pretty. In video, it's not.
It doesn't mean that because I film you in ugly. You are already ugly without makeup. That's the thing.
Rizal, I have this mug that I can throw across the table. Okay? Live stream in HD on Tonton.
The foreign news. Despite global leaders' calls for a ceasefire, the Zionist regime persisted in intensifying its bombardments on Gaza, marking the 84th day since the war erupted. In the most recent attacks, at least 35 Palestinians were killed in Nusayrat and Maghazi refugee camps during Israeli bombings in central Gaza. According to officials, another Israel's attack on a residential building near the Kuwaiti hospital in northern Gaza claimed the lives of 20 Palestinians. Over in the occupied West Bank, at least one Palestinian was killed, while 14 others, including a child, were detained in a series of intense raids conducted by the Zionist regime. To date, the death toll both in Gaza and the occupied West Bank has surged to at least 21,507 Palestinians, with 55,915 others left wounded. As the Zionist regime's atrocities showed no signs of abating, a number of United Nations UN agencies on Thursday expressed their deep concerns about the deteriorating humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, warned in a social media post that due to the shortage of aid supplies caused by the blockade, the Gaza Strip is grappling with catastrophic hunger, and 40% of the people are facing the risk of famine. UNRWA also reiterated its call for a humanitarian ceasefire as soon as possible to facilitate the access of more aid supplies to the Gaza Strip. At the same time, the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, OHCHR, also released a report stating that the human rights situation of Palestinians living in the West Bank has worsened day by day.
Sky,
Russia unleashed one of its biggest missile attacks on Ukraine on Friday. At least 18 people are reported to have been killed and more than 130 were injured as Russia targeted the capital, Kyiv, the northern city of Kharkiv, the eastern city of Dnipro, Odessa in the south, and Lviv in the west. According to authorities, missiles and drones were reported to have hit numerous civilian sites, including residential buildings, a maternity hospital, and a metro station building. The country's foreign ministry, meanwhile, said the vast end-of-year air assault showed there should be no talk of a truce with the Kremlin at a time when uncertainty hangs over the future of vital Western support for Kyiv. The overnight attacks came days after Ukraine struck a Russian warship in the occupied Crimean port of Feodosia. The Indonesian Navy has pushed back a boat carrying Rohingya refugees as it approached the coast of Aceh amid resentment among some residents about a sudden increase in boat arrivals. A military spokesperson, Nugara Gumilar, said the wooden boat was first encountered in waters near West Island of Sumatra before the Indonesian military vessel shadowed the vessel, which is believed to be carrying the Rohingya until it was outside Indonesian waters and would not return. Gumilar, however, said it was not known how many people were on board. According to data from the United Nations Refugee Agency, over 1,500 Rohingya have landed in Indonesia since November, facing increasing hostility and rejection as locals grow frustrated at the numbers of boats arriving. Year-end holidaymakers across China were bracing for possible transport disruptions after the Weather Bureau on Friday warned that heavy fog and haze would shroud areas from Hebei province in the north to southern Shanghai for more than 24 hours. According to the National Meteorological Center, severe fog was expected in parts of northern province Hebei, central province Henan, eastern province Anhui, Jiangsu, Zhejiang, and Shandong, as well as in the municipalities Shanghai and Chongqing. In Shanghai, some ferry routes were temporarily suspended and some sections of highways were temporarily closed, while more than 600 flights were delayed in various cities, including Urumqi, Hebei's Shijiazhuang, and Shandong's Qingdao. The conditions, however, were expected to improve from Saturday evening, when a cold wave of air is expected to blow over the country. Spain edged Brazil to begin United Cup. Sports after this breather.
Jangan pandang ringan dan mudah. Anggap batuk awak ini serius. Woods ubat batuk dengan rasa pudina. Memberi sensasi kelegaan di kerongkong. Berkesan melegakan batuk. Woods, ubat batuk yang saya percaya.
Ha, tengok. Inilah bukti ramai yang pilih merah.
Dah jelas lagi nyata.
Dengan jumlah pendengar 3.73 juta.
Menjadikan Hot FM Station Radio nombor 1 Malaysia.
Joji, mana?
Sekali lagi terima kasih menjadikan Hot FM Station Radio nombor 1 Malaysia.
Aksi permotoran. ngeri psikologi, kekeluargaan, seram komedi,
Aku nampak lembaga.
adaptasi kisah benar. Satu destinasi untuk semua telefilm kegemaran anda hanya di Jurekarama TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
We're back with sports football, the English Premier League. Arsenal head coach Mikel Arteta expressed profound disappointment following his team's 2-0 loss against West Ham on Friday, but assured that he is not panicking just yet.
They were great. You know, we have to put the ball on the net and win it. And as well, because the true situation, we have to defend the box. We didn't defend it well enough. And it's a team that they are really good in the box with the timing, with the quality they have with the front players arriving. And that's what it made the difference today, unfortunately. And it's this very disappointing night for us because I think we should have got much more from the game.
Speaking at a media conference, Arteta said his team has to take another step in the attacking area to score goals and secure the 3 points. Earlier, the Gunners slumped to their first home defeat of the season, as Tomasz Souček's bizarre opening goal came after a controversial VAR check. West Ham then sealed a memorable triumph when former Arsenal defender Konstantinos Mavropanos headed in his first league goal in the 55th minute through James Ward-Prowse's corner. With the loss, Arsenal missed the chance to reclaim the top spot in the Premier League, trailing leaders Liverpool by 2 points. On to tennis, the United Cup. Alejandro Davidovich Fokina guided Spain to a 2-1 victory over Brazil on the opening day of the mixed team event on Friday, as the new season began following a short break ahead of the 2024 Australian Open. United Cup debutant Davidovich Fokina earlier put Spain up 1-0 by defeating Thiago Seyboth-Wild 6-4, 6-love in the first match of the 2024 season. Fokina dominated his opponent from the baseline and did not face a breakpoint throughout the contest. However, Brazil hit back through world number 11, Haddad Maya, who downed Sara Sorribes Tormo 7-6, 6-2 in a rematch of the Marathon French Open 4th round clash earlier this year. Fokina and Tormo then secured a 2-1 victory by defeating Brazil's Maya and Melo 6-4, 7-5 in the mixed doubles decider of the Group A clash. World number ones Novak Djokovic and Iga Swiatek are among the big names who will be in action in the coming days as they warm up for the opening Grand Slam of the new year, which will take place from January 14th to 28th in Melbourne. After this short breather, cops plead not guilty to stealing more than 80,000 ringgit in integrated ops.
Karnival Jom Heboh 2024 akan ke Kuching, Sarawak. Peluang terbaik untuk kembangkan jenama, promosi dan bisnes anda dengan pelbagai aktiviti menarik. Hubungi kami sekarang di maklumat tertera untuk menyertai. Jom, jom, jom!
Kerana kuasa, nyawanya dipertaruhkan.
सेनापति शिवरत पहुंचे नहीं है या मेरे प्रिय भाई सुषम ने पहुंचने नहीं दी?
ये हो सकता, इस सिंहासन में मैं बैठूंगा. Dan kerana cinta, prinsipnya tercabar.
जैसे तुम्हारा ही अंक. क्योंकि युद्ध रणभूमि में लड़े जाते हैं परंतु जीते.
Asuka, Sabtu 30 Disember 2 petang. Di panggung Sabtu TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. 3 policemen from the General Operations Force were charged at the Kuala Lumpur Magistrates Court with stealing cash of 85,000 ringgit at a business premises during an integrated operation against undocumented immigrants last week. 30-year-old Corporal Muhammad Hafiz Irshad Muhammad Nawi, 35-year-old Lance Corporal Muhammad Adib Muhammad Zafri, and 26-year-old Lance Corporal Muhammad Amirul Aiman Mahmad each pleaded not guilty after the charge was read out before Magistrate Aina Azara Arifin. They were charged with the joint intention of stealing money belonging to NGWE Gabar Sindren Berhad on the first floor of the said premises on Jalan Lebuh Pudu off Jalan Silang on December 21st. The charge, framed under Section 380 of the Penal Code, carries an imprisonment for up to 10 years if convicted. The court set February 6th for mention and allowed each of the accused bail of 17,000 ringgit with 2 local sureties. As we wrap up this edition of Nightline, let's take a look at the famed Mavericks Beach surf sports, where massive waves reported to be 9 to 12 meters high pounded the central California coastline, drawing surfers and spectators. With that, I'm Hassanel. Thank you for watching Nightline and have a great weekend, Malaysia.